Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. Here I am on Cowley Street in London. Behind me where that blue plaque is, you can see the house where Lord Reith lived. And he was the first Director General of the BBC. The British Broadcasting Corporation was founded in 1924. So they had to come up with a word, a verb for diffusing the radio waves. So they thought back to when people were throwing seeds out on the land to make the plants grow, and so they came up with broadcast, because that's what you say with seeds. So spreading the word was a bit like that. I suppose it's also a biblical allusion, which would very much be in keeping with Lord Reith's worldview. So to begin with, the BBC was only about radio. BBC television didn't begin till 1936. Back then the signal could only be received in London when it was only for an hour a day. It was only after the Second World War more frequent transmissions, longer transmissions commenced, and indeed people could receive it further and further away. So Lord Reith, he was a son of a Church of Scotland minister. He was a man of impeccably puritanical views, and that's why people thought he'd be suitable to be put in charge of the BBC, so there would be no lowering of the tone. And he's the one who promulgated the BBC's mission, which was to inform, to educate, to morally improve, things like that. And so people often talk about the Reithian mission of the BBC, and it's not sheer entertainment. It's probably drifted away from that. Now, the BBC of the modern day would be scarcely recognisable from Reith's times, because mores have changed. There was only a little bit of comedy in Reith's day, but he stood down as director long ago. Even in the 1950s, after Lord Reith had retired as Director General of the BBC, the guidelines for comedy said there must be no mirth about religion, politics, sex, or the royal family. Doesn't leave much left. No wonder the mainstay of comedy in the old days was racism, because some of the main topics are gone. You think of those 4 forbidden topics, religion, politics, sex, or the royal family. The best jokes would include all 4 of those elements. No bad language was to be broadcast. It was in about 1969 somebody used an Anglo-Saxon word beginning with F for the first time on BBC television, and there was to be no nudity. Even then that was too shocking for the likes of Mary Whitehouse. There's a woman from the West Midlands who set up her Viewers and Listeners Association, as in she thought the Well Nigh All was smutty or morally disimproving, blah blah blah. She was an ultra-conservative woman who would have liked the BBC to stay as it was in Lord Reith's day. Anyway, he must be viewed as a man of his time, and his influence lasted for decades after he stood down at the BBC. So that is the most estimable peer of the realm, Lord Reith.